We got to talk some Sopranos. I know you're sick of talking Sopranos, but like, what's your all-time episode of Sopranos, do you think? What's your favorite?
My favorite one, what I liked a lot was one, Whitecaps, which you don't probably know, when Tony, when they were going to buy the beach house.
That was a good one,
And then she admits that she had a thing for Furio.
Oh,
that is some good work, the two. That's a real fight there.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is very real, you know?
Yes.
Pine Barrens, everyone loves.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll tell you a funny story with Pine Barrens. We didn't shoot in the Pine Barrens because there was a politician. It's a scumbag named James Treffinger. And he wouldn't give us the permits. He said it made New Jersey look bad, made Italians look bad, made, it was just bad for the state. He would not give, so we shot near West Point. And James Treffinger, pull that prick up.
Yeah.
Look at that prick, if you know him. And he was arrested and went to jail for fraud and all kinds of shit.
Take it, Triffy.
I was hoping you'd say fucking kids. That would have really been the nail in the coffin for this prick. But that's bad. Fraud is bad too.
Look at him.
Look at that cum
See that
guzzler.
guy? Look, he prison, and he wouldn't give us. So we shot it up there, and it just happened to rain. It happened to snow. So it wasn't supposed to take place in the snow.
Well, that worked.
The snow, so it made it.
It made it better.
We were up there. I remember we went out the night before. We were like in some bar up there, and Steve Buscemi he directed it. He was singing "I Want to Be Sedated" with the band. It was like 3 a.m, and I left. I said, "Man, we got to get up early." Everybody stayed, and
Hell yeah.
it was a lot of fun. But
some of your lines one of my favorite things about The Sopranos is how funny it is. Like you talk about like rewatching stuff.
It's
like
laugh out loud fun.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
You have one of the funniest lines ever when in season 1 when Tony is trying to take down Junior, and you go up to him and you say, "To the victor goes the spoils."
That's my first scene I ever shot.
It's such a funny line, and he just immediately goes, "Shut the fuck up."
Shove the quotation book up your fat fucking head. I wore a fat suit the first 2 years.
Oh yeah.
No way.
Yeah, and then I guess I got fat enough on my own. But when I got the jokes, right? That's it.
No,
that's my first
Sal,
scene I ever
don't
shot.
play it because we can't. They won't let us play it.
Yeah,
They get
that's
mad
the
at
first
us.
scene I ever shot. But like I had gotten the script, and there was all these fat jokes. You're a calzone with legs.
Right.
You should seriously consider eating salads. All these things, and I'm going, I'm not that much fatter than him.
Yeah.
Jokes don't make sense.
Right.
And then they said, "Hey, you got to come in and get fitted for a fat suit." So
Wow.
Okay.
they made this ridiculous fat suit, and I was parading around in front of the producers. It was
That's got to feel good. You're not fat enough for the fat
not
jokes.
fat
flattering.
enough. Yeah, and I got the job without being fat enough.
Yeah, your
I
delivery
worked my way into it.
delivery on the Santa Claus episode. I'm shy.
Yeah.
I love that.
They gave me some good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh
They
yeah.
gave me some really
The
good,
ZD.
they gave me a lot of.
But they made the beauty of that show is that every character has this incredible like 3-dimensional story. I mean, like the Karen Ziti arc is so fucking sad.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, it is the writers are brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are absolutely brilliant. And when you say it could be a comedy.
It is
100%.
Some of the stuff is so funny. And when we did our podcast, and I had to rewatch because I hadn't seen it in years. I mean, you're laughing out loud. I mean, you catch things. You catch shit, and
100%. That scene that we talk about all the time, but when they give him an intervention, Chris.
Oh, one of the best things you've ever seen.
It's brilliant.
One of the best scenes in the whole series.
I love it. He sits on the dog, calls the mom a whore. Paulie punches him. It's gold.
Tony Sirico and Paulie were very similar.
Yeah.
I guess.
Very, very, very similar.
He didn't strike me as a chameleon actor.
But he had been acting for a long time.
Oh, I remember him in Bullets Over Broadway. I remember him.
He's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Woody Allen loved him. He grew up with Woody Allen's sister.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I did a movie, Wonder Wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woody loved him, and Tony would tell him stories. Woody, I used to carry my gun over here. Woody was like fascinated
Right.
with Tony's stories. Tony was a great guy, a lot of laughs without even knowing it.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like one time we were in Atlantic City doing a signing, and the guy says, hey Tony, my friend Louie, could you sign a picture to him? He's handicapped, he can't come in. But Tony wrote to Louie, the best handicapper in town. he had no clue.
That's
he was
funny.
right. You know, he was a real tough guy even into his 60s. You know,
Yeah.
you wouldn't fuck with him. He lived in Brooklyn. He lived on Shore Road in Bay Ridge. You know, he's from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And, you know, when he was younger, he used to shake down bars.
Really?
Even bar mob, you know, not only for the mob, but bars that were owned by the mob, he used to shake them down. He was a legitimate tough guy.
Yeah, look at that.
There's this crazy film where he's a black and white documentary where he talks about, I forget it, but if you find it, he says some serious stuff. I mean, Tony is, you know, he was a good guy. A lot of laughs, like crazy stuff. He was a germaphobe.
Huh.
He had these crazy eating habits. You know, when anthrax was going on?
Yeah.
Remember all that?
Yeah.
So he thought he was going to get anthrax in the mail. Like he was going to get it. 'cause
Yeah.
He was a big star.
Right,
So
right.
he used to go to the mailbox with the dish.
Oh my
And then he
God.
would put it in the microwave to like offset it. He put his mail on fire.
Wow.
Wait, so that would offset anthrax?
That's what he thought. You know, that's what he thought. He was, you know, a lot of the stuff they got from Tony's, you know, his real life. You know, I mean, he went to jail. He came out. He wanted to be an actor. You know, he did a lot of charity work. He's an iconic TV character forever.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, when Tony got the job, he was living on a cot in his mother's one-bedroom in Marine Park in Brooklyn.
Damn.
You know, dead busted. Look at these headshots.
I know. What a hunk.
That is, he looks like a wrestler there.
Very funny.
Look at that.
That's at Coney Island.
Sexy dude.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
When people come up to you on the street, what are they usually like? Is there an episode they usually mention? Is there a moment they usually mention?
They just say Bobby. I get some, because I was on Blue Bloods for 9 years. I get some Anthony.
Yeah.
But I get Bobby. They used to ask about a lot of young kids watch it now in their 20s, you know, in their teens and their 20s. They used to ask about the
finale?
the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, what do you think?
You know, for a long time I thought he was alive. But then after doing the podcast, and interviewing, I think he died.
You think he got whacked?
I think he got whacked.
Interesting.
Maybe it was wishful thinking he was still alive, but I think he got killed.
The
Yeah.
fact that we're still talking about it, the ending, though, is kind of
It's
a work
amazing.
of genius.
Brilliant.
On David Chase's part.
And, you know, we watched it together. It's the only thing we ever watched together. We did this appearance down in the Hard Rock in Florida. So there was 9 of us, you know, Jim and me and Lorraine and Michael and Sirico and, you know. And we were like, and I knew how it was going to end, but like we were stunned. Like we watched it like everyone else, like what the fuck happened? And then, you know, we saw, you know, it was like kind of stunning because it said fade to black. I didn't know it was going to be abrupt like that.
Right.
Interesting.
So, you know, some people like it, some people didn't like it, you know. You know, Sirico, we would do these appearances in the casinos, and, you know, sometimes people were like, you know, like they would say shit to him, and like he would be there like this, you know, a guy, you know, you're like Santa Claus at Macy's.
Yeah.
You know, they stand behind you.
Oh, yeah, like a
And Tony would
Comic-Con.
go, yeah, give this, tell your mother hello. Tell your mother hello. There was no one he was afraid of.
Yeah, that's the thumbnail. Wow.
No one he was afraid of.
You know what's another iconic episode is the one with your dad, played by Burt Young.
Great.
I mean, that is where he wants to do the one last hit, remember?
Oh,
That-
yes.
The violence of that season would I mean, every once in a while you'd be like, holy shit, this is the guy just breaking the head in with a golf club.
Yeah.
That was one of the most shocking
Yeah,
scenes
and
to-
Burt was a great actor, a very underrated actor. You know, I think, you know, he was a very serious actor. And then I think with the Rocky movies, you know, people thought he was Paulie, you know.
Right,
kinda.
right.
He was a really good guy. Really good guy.
I guess I came in at the very end, but like it feels weird to have to wait a week to see the next episode.
Oh, we would wait. We'd have big parties, watch parties.
Yeah,
But I was
that's a lot of people. David Chase loved that. You know, so many people had these parties and Italian meals and all this stuff on you know, it was crazy. Listen, we had the premiere of a TV show at Radio City.
Wow.
Wow.
Every year, 6,000. The first year was at John's Pizza, and then every year after that, it was at Radio City.
Oh my
That's
God.
insane.
And people were dying to get tickets. It was like the hottest ticket.
Yeah.
I think at my kid's school, I auctioned off $10,000 for 2 tickets. And then we would have the party at Radio City, and if the ice wasn't there, like where the ice is, that would be the after.
Oh, and you put
They
your
would
balls
show
on.
2 episodes.
Sorry. Oh, that's crazy.
Damn.
I mean, it was like crazy.
It was it's so funny that the Italians got so mad about this show. Like, I don't know, I'm half Italian. Who gives it? What about, how do you feel about Luigi then? If this show bothered you, he's like a real Italian.
Well, some people love him.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, that's what. First of all, it's all bullshit.
It's a TV
I had
show.
a guy. I wrote a book called Nicky Deuce, and we turned it into a movie, and Gandolfini's in it, and Michael and Sirico and a couple other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote the kids' book, and then I sold it to Nickelodeon.
Oh, wow.
And so I was going around doing book signings,
Nice.
and this guy was like emailing and writing letters to the bookstore saying how I make Italians look bad. The story, it was about a kid in a neighborhood in Bensonhurst and, blah, 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 right? So I'm going like, what's this guy talking about? Some organization. It was some bullshit organization. So finally I called the guy.
Uh-huh.
And I said, I think his name was Joe, of course. I said, what can I do for you? What is it that I could do for you? Because you're harassing me. What is it that you want from me? And I said, this is the world I grew up in. This is what I know.
Yes.
This is what I know. Rappers write about, the hood. This is what I know. I know what I know. It wasn't autobiographical, but, there was stuff in there. It's like Brooklyn in the 70s. He said, well, if you make a donation to my organization. The fucking guy tried to shake me down.
Wow, very Italian.
Yeah, he's the one who's doing the bad.
Exactly.
So, and I used to, people would say, I don't watch that show you're on. It makes Italians look bad. I said, have you seen it? No, I don't watch it. Well, then how do you know?
Exactly.
This is a slice of Italian-American life that exists.
You could argue it makes any group. You can argue it makes Jews look bad. Hesh is your fucking one Jew.
Right.
Absolutely.
I could argue makes anyone can get offended.
I mean, if you're ignorant enough to think that every rap is a gang member, then you're an asshole.
That's a good point.
There's also that character, Lorraine Bracco's ex-husband on the
Yeah.
show.
Oh, yeah.
He's kind of that guy that they're making fun of.
He's an asshole.
Where he's always like, this makes us all look bad. But you're like, you're that fucking guy.
That was smart to write that guy in.
Oh, it was such a self-aware show.
I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
you use, and then they had that thing, remember, the Columbus Day Parade?
Yes.
episode.
Nick
all
DiPaolo's in that episode.
Yeah.
He's
What's
the
that?
cop.
Nick DiPaolo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nick was in it. Nick got the role on his own, but I think I might have helped him get the.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I certainly talked to them. I said, I can't get you the role, but if if it's on the fence, I push
Yeah.
you over. He did a great job.
Yeah.
Nick was a crazy Soprano fan.
Oh,
I mean,
huge.
yeah.
He had a bit about Sopranos.